It's from Miss Brazil Trans 2023.
That's right.
And instead of just, recapping the event, we want to look closer, explore what's happening in the quiet moments, sort of between the main beats of the pageant.
And the idea is to think about how the way it's filmed kind of invites a certain way of watching, like more silent observation, maybe some reflection.
It's like the camera lets you be a fly on the wall, almost, a silent witness.
Mm-hmm.
That by looking closely like that, without rushing to judge, we can see past the surface. Maybe even, face some of our own ideas or preconceptions.
That's the potential, isn't it? Getting to a place where we can accept people just as they present themselves, as they are. It's more like it's giving you the space to observe and figure things out for yourself. And that's where the shifts in understanding can happen, I think. There's that early bit showing someone creating a garment.
Right, with all those applied pieces.
Collage and then embroidery, beads, crystals, just layers of work.
It struck me the sheer meticulousness of it all.
Well, and think about what that signifies, right? That level of care, that dedication, especially in this context.
What do you mean?
In a pageant celebrating trans individuals, putting that much effort into how you present yourself, it can be a really powerful act. It's about saying, I'm here, I'm creating something beautiful, I deserve to be seen.
That's a really good point.
And you see this contrast, don't you, between that really focused, almost intimate handcrafting and then the big public stage of the pageant itself.
It highlights all the personal investment, the hours of work that goes into that final moment on stage. Stuff we don't usually see.
Which then leads us into the pageant itself, the contestants on the runway.
We see people representing Tocantins, Mato Grosso, Minas Gerais, Rio, quite a few states.
Rio Grande do Sul, São Paulo, Paraná, Pará, yeah, lots of representation.
And each walk is so unique. The music choices, the energy, the styles.
It's a real spectrum, isn't it? What did you take away from that variety?
Well, it really pushes back against any single idea of what a trans person looks like or acts like. It shows incredible individuality.
Exactly. Every contestant is bringing their own interpretation, their own flair. It celebrates diversity within the community itself.
And then you get those moments.
Yeah.
The unpredictable stuff.
Yeah.
Like the chair incident.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's just a reminder, isn't it? This is live. Things happen.
And watching how everyone reacts, the contestants, the organizers, it's quite revealing.
How so?
There's this sort of collective rolling with it, a resilience. Like, okay, that happened, let's keep going. It makes the whole thing feel very human, very real.
Yeah, less polished, maybe, but more authentic.
Mm-hmm. Then we move backstage later on.
We see the host, Lillian Pacham, interacting with Rosanna Starr and with contestants, maybe audience members or jury too.
Yeah, there are these little exchanges happening. What kind of vibe did you get from those backstage moments?
It felt supportive, like a real sense of community, maybe more than just pure competition. People connecting.
Definitely. You see encouragement, shared glances, people who understand what it means to be in that space together.
Appearance and speech felt really important. She's the coordinator for LGBT plus public policies in São Paulo, right?
Yes. And her contribution adds this whole other layer. She talks about culture being vital, like a public policy for mental health.
Fighting prejudice, transphobia.
Exactly. She frames the pageant not just as entertainment, but as something culturally significant, something that can actually impact well-being and challenge societal norms.
It makes you see the event in a broader context. It's not just a pageant.
Not at all. And remember her anecdote about securing the Teater Municipal for future events?
Yes, that really landed, moving into such a prestigious, established venue.
It's a powerful symbol, isn't it? It signals this growing recognition, this mainstream acceptance almost.
A sign of progress, for sure.
And then she does something very direct. She calls for offering one of the contestants a job opportunity.
That was striking. It took it from symbolism to something really concrete.
Right. It connects the visibility of the event to actual tangible support. Economic empowerment, community action. It's not just about being seen, it's about creating pathways.
And Sergio Oldenburgo also speaks, reinforcing that message about visibility being crucial, about challenging prejudice just by being present and celebrated.
His words kind of underscore the inherent activism in an event like this. Simply existing openly and celebrating trans identity in public is a form of resistance.
And while these speeches are happening, you see the contestants backstage, watching their reactions.
Ah, yes. Those moments are key.
You can almost feel the impact of the word landing, the nods, the expressions.
Those nonverbal cues speak volumes, don't they? You sense this shared understanding, this solidarity. Hearing their experiences validated like that, it's clearly profound.
It's in those quiet reactions, those shared looks, that you really glimpse the deeper significance for them.
Which perfectly leads into this whole idea we wanted to explore, observing between the lines.
Right, because the footage often just lingers on a face, on a quiet interaction where nothing explicit is being said.
And that's the invitation, isn't it? The camera steps back and you, the viewer, have to lean in. You start looking for the subtle things.
A flicker of emotion, a gesture, how someone carries themselves while they're just waiting.
You find yourself trying to piece together the internal story based purely on observation.
You see someone waiting in the wings, maybe looking nervous, maybe excited, maybe just watching someone else. You can't help but wonder what's going through their mind. You project onto them a bit.
And that's where your perspective, your background comes into play. What catches your eye? What assumptions are you bringing?
It makes you conscious of your own filter.
Does what you observe challenge any preconceived notions you might have had? Or does it seem to confirm them? It forces a kind of self-awareness.
It definitely slows you down, stops you from making snap judgments, because there's no neat narrative being handed to you.
Exactly. And in that space, that pause created by just observing without immediate explanation, maybe a different kind of understanding can grow.
Seeing the complexity, the individuality beyond any label.
Perhaps, yeah. Maybe that silent observation allows for a greater acceptance to emerge. An acceptance of people as they are, as they choose to present themselves. It's like the camera's quiet gaze gives us permission to just see and accept without needing everything spelled out.
The style itself pushes you toward being more thoughtful, maybe more empathetic.
I think so, because it's not constantly directing your feelings with dramatic music or narration. It lets you have your own internal response to just witnessing these moments.
So looking at Miss Brazil Trans 2023 this way, through this lens of quiet observation, it really does offer a different perspective.
It goes beyond just the highlights or the winners. By focusing on the subtle stuff, the unspoken connections, the moments of simply being.
You get a richer picture of the people involved, and maybe even learn something about how you perceive things.
Yeah. The event, captured like this, feels like more than just a contest. It's obviously a platform for expression and community, a statement on visibility.
But it's also this subtle invitation for the viewer to engage in their own quiet reflection, to potentially shift their own perspective just by watching carefully.
It really highlights that sometimes the most compelling narratives aren't shouted. They're found in the nuances, in the quiet presence of people living their lives.
So maybe the thought to leave with is this: what other parts of our everyday lives might reveal deeper meanings if we just took a moment to observe quietly?
What's happening between the lines around us all the time?
What biases might we uncover in ourselves, and what new understandings could we reach just by paying closer attention?
Something to think about.
Rio Grande do Sul, terceiro lugar. Agradecer a Rosana Sá, obrigado pelo convite, pela confiança, pela credibilidade. Prazer.
What are we living for? Abandoned places. I guess we know the score. On and on. Does anybody know what we are looking for? Another hero, another mindless crime. We have